Hi, good people. Now, today we want to do the last discussion on the Mbira repertoire. Now, we said we've got a classification where the first category are what we call genuine, our actual Mbira songs, songs that are designed for this Mbira Huru or Mbira Zawadzimu. And then the second category are songs, traditional songs that can be played without the Mbira, but have been arranged onto the Mbira songs like Chaminuka and Mambo by Awabaya. A third category are songs that have been adapted from the Karimba, as well as storytelling. That's where we have songs like Chemtengure, like Chikende, like Putu Mtandarika. And then a fourth category is the open one of Mbira compositions. And this is what we want to discuss briefly today. And so Mbira compositions have come about in two ways. Now the world has opened up, and so the people in Zimbabwe, the Mbira players in Zimbabwe, from the time of colonization, started getting musics from other parts of the world, and so there was a question on whether they could also play that music on the Mbiras, and then there's also been evolution in terms of the music in Zimbabwe. So one aspect of it is what has happened in Zimbabwe, but with that, the Mbira has been exported across the globe, and it is other musicians, fiddling around with the instrument, that are also coming up with other musics that they can play onto the Mbira. Now, in Zimbabwe, let me maybe say one or two things about three styles that have emerged. Now, a very central one is what Thomas Mapfumo has been responsible for. Now, so Thomas Mapfumo did two things. Now, the first one is that he took the Mbira music and played it on the guitars. Now, when I say Thomas Mapfumo, it is really Thomas Mapfumo and other people who did the same. So around 1974, the guitarists were Joshua Dube, working with Thomas Mapfumo. But other bands were also experimenting with the same genre, and then the other guitarist was Piquet Chiangwa. He also claims that he's the inventor of the Mbira style guitar. And then the other one was Jonas Tolle. But what has happened over the years is the birth of what we call Chimurenga music, which is Mbira-based music played on guitars. And it was played for a long time without the actual Mbira instrument. But from 1983, Thomas Mapfumo brought back the Mbira instrument, and then 1986 there was a full-time player, Chatwell Lutiro, joined by others, and Bezel Makombe joined in 1990. Now, so one innovation that Thomas Mapfumo brought is playing the Mbira music on the guitars. Now, but once the band had been set up, if one looks at the CDs that were released around 1990, such as Chimurenga International, there was a clear separation between the Mbira songs. So the Mbira songs would be played with the Mbira, and then they were clearly traditional. But Thomas Mapfumo had other songs such as Jojo, such as Jairosi, where the Mbira players didn't participate. But what evolution did happen, and if you look at the performance when Thomas Mapfumo came back to Zimbabwe in 2018 at the Big Mbira, the Mbira players sat throughout that performance. Now, so they could play the traditional songs or songs based on the Mbira pieces, but they could play other music that Thomas Mapfumo has had, has composed, or as influences that have happened in the band. So Thomas Mapfumo plays reggae, and when he plays reggae, Bezel plays Mbira part, and that goes with the reggae. Thomas Mapfumo has had influence from jazz musicians, from people who play calypso, and that is the second innovation, that the Mbira can play whatever Thomas Mapfumo is doing, and that Mbira player who's largely done that is Bezel Makombe, and that's why I stick by him to learn as much as I can. So that is one trend, Mbira music playing whatever Thomas Mapfumo has been playing. And then the current generation musicians are people like Ja Praiser. They're doing wonderful things. with the Mbira composing their music, and as well as merging it with the traditional music, and then that is how Mbira is evolving. This all falls under new arrangements or new compositions. Now, during the liberation struggle from the 1960s, and especially in the 1970s, now music to motivate the liberation fighters was composed, especially when they were in Mozambique. Now I know for certain that one of the Mbira players in our home is called Robert Makwinja. He was already a Mbira player, but when he went to Mozambique to join the war, he learned all these war songs, and when he came back, he was now playing these war songs on the Mbira. Now, unfortunately, he was never recorded, but people who were recorded are people like Master Chivero, Nyika Zimbabwe, Mkoma, but they composed Mbira pieces to go with these war songs. I think the most successful was Comrade Chingaira. He even coined the term Ngorimba. It didn't gain much momentum, but Ngoma, Marimba, and Mbira, that's where he got the Ngorimba, and he sang these war songs backed up by a band that had Mbiras, that had Marimbas. Now, these are new arrangements of the Mbira to accompany the songs of liberation. A third movement, there is an interesting relationship between the Mbira and the church movements in Zimbabwe, because the Mbira was demonized as an instrument that was used for traditional religion, for these ceremonies, and so it was demonized, suppressed, sometimes even banned in certain areas. But when things were relaxing a little bit, there were discussions on how the church music could incorporate traditional instruments, and these are discussions that were taking place, in the mid 1960s, and ultimately the Catholic Church and other churches took up the drums, and then the Catholic drum is a suppressed form of drumming, within the church. But Mbira players also started composing or trying to get the music into the churches. It wasn't entirely successful, but Chaka Chawasarira composed a whole mass for the Roman Catholic Church. Chaka Chawasarira has got good material that is recorded under Matepe, matepe.org, and he explains those stories very well. Another was Sekuru Simon Mashoko. I think he was working in the Dutch Reformed Church, and then he composed and he would play his Mbira to accompany the church music, and I think his last CD recorded by Joel is called Hallelujah, and then there's that song Hallelujah as an example of the church music that he was playing onto the Mbira. And unfortunately, much of this music isn't recorded. But a current day effort is coming from same legend Tanda Chinga. He's based here in South Africa, and he does Mbira gospel or Mbira praise music. And he's received much traction. He's composing, he's arranging the church songs onto Mbira pieces. Now, some of the Mbira pieces are traditional Mbira pieces like Nemam Sasa, or pieces that go for Vamdara Mapeka Manyatera, but is overlaying the gospel music lyrics. But some pieces, it is actually new compositions. And he's got a YouTube channel that is doing extremely well. You should check out the music that he's doing. Other people have been playing rumba or sungura. This is Zimbabwe's version of rumba, or how we've adapted the Congolese guitars into our own. But Mbira musicians play that music and sing the songs that were done by Leonard Dembo or by Simon Chimbetu playing the Mbira. But what I'm getting to is that this category of what we can play on the Mbira is a category that expands every day. Now, if we look outside Zimbabwe, there are people who've gotten the fascination of the Mbira, and some jazz guitarist here in South Africa, Pops Mohammed, has done 2 or 3 CDs doing what he calls Mbira jazz. Now, some pieces are clearly Mbira pieces, where he plays Karigamombe and then gets a jazz saxophonist to collaborate, and so it is that hybrid of Karigamombe and some jazz saxophone, and he's done that with several of the traditional songs. But some of the songs that is recorded is actually composing, is actually making new music on the Mbira. And these jazz artists have a different way of hearing our Mbira, and the music is intriguing and fascinating at the same time. And then so I've listened closely to Pops Mahomed. Another is Selo Halane. He's here and he hears the music differently, but has made his arrangements and has invited Bezel and others to collaborate, and this is interesting collaboration. And then now that we can access what is happening globally on YouTube, you can Google up what's happening with Mbira and you will come across Bob Marley songs. There's a guy who's done at least 3 of Bob Marley songs on the Mbira. But this is an expanding category, and we don't know what will happen in the future. But this, with time will expand and probably end up bigger than the other categories of the genuine Mbira songs and traditional songs adapted to Mbira, because this is really up to musicians to do whatever they can with the Mbira. Now, so that completes, these discussions on the repertoire. We've said something about the genuine Mbira songs. We've said something about the traditional songs adapted to Mbira. We've said something about the Kalimba songs that are now played on the Mbira Uru, and something about the trends of playing anything and everything on the Mbira. I will end with playing something. I'm holding one of my big Mbiras. This is a low Nemam Sasa. In terms of pitches, this is the lowest. This is the lowest that I have. And then it is in a very special eze. So this eze is a cow skin. This eze is a cow skin that was wrapped around a mold made of wires. And this was done by a guy called Kuda Damba. Kuda Damba, he's done much innovation in terms of making deserts. So this is a cow skin. It is losing some of the fairs, but I don't know whether that is a good thing or not. I wanted the fairs there so that it remains looking, people can recognize that it is a cow skin. The song that I want to play is an arrangement of a jazz song done by Bob Nyabinde. The song is Samanyika. Samanyika wakaguta daimampa umamba tabiranya utare. So this is an arrangement that I've tried to do of that. Let me see if it works.